February 1885. Cold winds swept through Berlin, but inside a grand hall lit by gold chandeliers, a different kind of storm was brewing. A long table stretched across the room, and at its center lay a giant map of Africa, blank, silent, waiting. 14 European powers gathered around it, whispering, arguing, calculating. Not a single African was allowed through the doors. Germany demanded East Africa. Britain wanted the Nile and the gold-rich South. France reached across the Sahara. And Belgium's King Leopold II quietly targeted the Congo. They weren't discussing cooperation, only who gets what. Diplomats dipped their pens into dark ink. Slowly, the room fell silent except for the scratch of metal nibs across paper. A straight line cut across the desert, ignoring ancient trade routes. A curve sliced through forests, dividing kingdoms that had existed for centuries. Borders appeared where no borders had ever been. Families, tribes, and languages didn't matter. Only ink, only borders. Far from Berlin, Africa lived its ordinary life. Children playing, markets bustling, elders telling stories under evening fires. No African chief had been asked. No African voice had been heard. Yet their future was being carved by men who had never walked their land. When Leopold claimed the Congo Free State, he called it a humanitarian mission. But history would reveal something darker. Forced labor, rubber exploitation, millions of lives destroyed. All from a line drawn on that map. After hours of debate, the delegates shook hands. Treaties were signed. Borders were finalized. And then the ink dried. Those lines on paper became colonial armies, broken kingdoms, and conflicts that would echo for generations. Nations formed from those borders would struggle to rebuild identities torn apart in that room. So when people say, when the ink dried in 1885, it wasn't just ink. It was the beginning of wounds carved across a continent. Wounds Africans are still healing today, through unity, strength, and the reclaiming of their own story.